Hi, my name's Tom, I'm from the band Casey, and this is my interview for Dearly Demented.
How's the Never Say Die tour going so far?
It's probably the easiest tour we've ever done, in the sense that there are 7 bands, and before the tour started we knew and we were friends with 4 of them, which is obviously good, and then 1,000 Below and Currents we didn't know before the tour, we clicked with pretty much straight away, so kind of everyone gets on really well with each other, which is great. The crew are amazing, and also because obviously there are so many people, like getting in and out of venues is a lot easier as well. There's a lot of people that kind of carry equipment and stuff, and the only downside to it really is like venues like today where there's only one shower and then it's like it's like a queue of 50 people for it. But other than that, yeah, it's been sick. Like all the shows have been really fun, and we get on, like I said, really well with all the guys, so it's nice and easy.
Nice. Could you name a few bands you'd like to tour with, like your dream lineup?
It varies quite a lot, kind of just depending on what I'm listening to and kind of how Casey feeling about the music we make and stuff, because we'll do some tours where we feel like playing a kind of heavier set, and then we'll play some where we feel like playing a bit of a lighter set. A lot of the bands that are kind of quite consistent, Touche Amore we'd love to tour with, Lydia, I know some of the guys would like to tour with a band like the Japanese House or something like that. It's like I said, it just kind of depends on where we are and stuff. There's a band from Australia called Paper Kites. We love them, and there's another band from Australia called The Comfort, which is sick. But yeah, I mean, we've been very fortunate. A lot of the bands that we would like to play with, we've had the opportunity to. But as far as the tour goes, personally for me, like a band like Touche Amore would be amazing.
And where should your dream show take place?
Dream show. I mean, the best shows that we've ever played have always been in Germany. And we do love playing in Cologne, particularly. We've always had an amazing reception there, and we do feel very at home. But I mean, there's a lot of places. We've never been there with Casey, but with my previous band I went to Japan, and they were some of the best shows I've ever played in my life, so I'd like to go back to Japan at some point, and obviously if we get the opportunity to do America as well, I'm sure that would be cool.
How do you deal with being away from your families and loved ones?
I mean, it can be difficult. I've been touring for 12 years now, and it can be tough at times, especially like if there are things going on back home that you either like you're missing out on, or like you want to be there for. I mean, I've been away when like my brother's been taken into hospital and stuff, and it kind of the distance between you does make it a lot. I mean, it's kind of like having a long distance relationship with a partner, I guess. But it's just kind of being mindful of one another and kind of making sure kind of everyone's okay on the tour and stuff, and you know, we make it through.
What inspired you to make music, and how did you get to know your bandmates?
I mean, I grew up in a quite a small village, and the basic choices were you either got into sport or you got into music, and I've never been much of a sporting kind of person, so I sort of just initially fell into music as a means of kind of making friends and things, and kind of maintaining friendships with people, and then as time went on I developed a more kind of deep-rooted interest in music and what it meant to me, and it's just kind of developed from there. But Liam and I and Casey have been friends since high school. We've been friends for a long time. And then the other members we just met through other bands in the scene. We just kind of playing with each other over time, and just met kind of organically through that.
So it somehow got together?
Yeah. So then when it came time to making Casey, it was just Liam and I initially, and then when it came time for us to really think about members, we just sort of messaged the people that we would have liked to have been in the band with us, and unfortunately they were all kind of reciprocated the idea. So
nice. Who's your biggest influence and why?
It's kind of hard for me to kind of pinpoint an individual influence and kind of determine them to be like the largest influence on me, because different things influence me in different ways. But there is a writer from America, her name's Dessa, that's her artist name, and she's a rapper and a philosopher, and she's an author as well. And she's definitely one of the biggest, if not the biggest, but I read a lot of kind of philosophical non-fiction and more philosophical fiction as well. So writers like Albert Camus and that kind of thing, and Milan Kundera and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it kind of depends what sort of inspiration I'm looking for, whether it's musical or lyrical or kind of just kind of creative in general.
And what is your favorite song of your new album, and why? Again,
it's something that kind of it varies. I'll probably say The Funeral overall, just because like lyrically it's my favorite. It's the one I was sort of maybe not proudest of in terms of personal investment, but kind of how it flows and kind of the language used is some of my favorite that I've written. So
And how do you come up with the lyrics, and what is your writing process?
So I don't actually write anything at all outside of the studio.
Yeah.
And I will wait until the final finished product is done before I really put pen to paper. But what I do over a course of time is, if I find like an interesting word or an interesting phrase, I'll just make a note of it in my phone, and then when it comes time to writing kind of lyrics for Casey, I'll just scroll back through it and see if there's anything that kind of piques my interest, and then kind of develop an idea from there and kind of take it off.
What do you think is your biggest challenge as a band?
I think most bands are kind of tasked with the same difficulties for the most part. Obviously, we live in an age where media consumption moves so quickly, a lot quicker than when I was a kid. And I mean, when I was growing up, I would expect a band to release an album every 2 years, and I would expect to see maybe 2 music videos from it, and I would get them through the TV, and I would feel like really fortunate if I got to see them and stuff. Whereas now, I mean, on the April tour that we did, the headline tour for this album, people were already asking us about new music, and I was like, we put an album out a month ago, and they were like, oh yeah, but you know, are you working on anything? I was like, no. I know a lot of artists feel the same way. They feel like there's the kind of creative obligation to constantly be producing content, or kind of they feel like a burden in the sense that they feel like they constantly need to be pushing something new, and rather than being able to just sort of rest on, actually, no, this is what I've created, I'm going to leave it for a year, I'm going to leave it for 18 months, and then I'm going to move on to something new. So that's one thing. I mean, obviously financial pressures as well. Touring is an expensive business. And, you know, there are a lot of bands that want to be kind of professional level touring bands, and there's not that much of a market for them all to share, so it's kind of a dog-eat-dog world to some degree. But yeah, I mean, Casey's always been very fortunate in that we've never really struggled that much with touring and stuff. We've always been fairly comfortable, and in terms of the kind of creative side of things, again, we've always been fairly comfortable with just sort of letting things lie, and we've never really felt the pressure to do anything above and beyond what we feel necessary.
Yeah, you actually shouldn't let you get pressured by
Yeah, exactly. We've always been doing things in the way that we felt most comfortable doing them, and it's very rare that we will give in to kind of external pressures or kind of influence from the outside.
Okay. Do you have anything left to say, maybe a special message for your fans? Or
I'm always awful at ending interviews, because I mean, it's like, again, this is another one of those things where there's some sort of like social obligation where, like, at the end of an interview, every artist always says, oh my god, thank you so much for all of our fans for listening, because that's how every artist feels. Like, no one is going to go out of their way to be like, yo, fuck off, you know, like don't listen to us anymore or anything. Like, you know, every artist is always grateful for their audience and kind of the opportunity to do what they do, so I feel like it kind of goes without saying that that's how we feel. But stay in school, eat your vegetables.
Thank you so much.
That was a close one. Okay.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for your time.
That should be it.